What's up internet, Victor with PhoneArena here, and this time we have two very nice, very interesting devices to compare: the HTC One Max and the LG G2. Which one is better? Which one should you choose? The phablet, this is the first and the newest super large phone by HTC. This phone is just gigantic. It can't fit in a single hand. Not a chance. And here we have the LG G2, a much more reasonably sized device, and both are premium handset. Both carry high prices, both feature top-notch hardware. So which one should you choose? We'll explore the camera performance, the actual system chip performance, and so much more. So let's go. Speaking of design and visuals, we should probably start with the fact that the HTC One Max is humongous. It eclipses the LG G2 and makes it look like a miniature handset. That it's not. It's a 5.2-inch screen device, whereas the HTC One Max is a 5.9-inch, but the difference in size is just staggering. And here it is what it looks like up front. It's a huge difference. Now, does it play to HTC One Max advantage or disadvantage? Unfortunately, we think it's a disadvantage. It's a bit too big for a regular hand, and if you try to use it on the go with just one hand, that you oftentimes have to, you have a hard time. Not so with the LG G2, of course. Now, speaking of the actual design, let's take a look at the HTC One Max first. It has an aluminum unibody, and it looks nice. It's very solid and sturdy. There is a fingerprint scanner, a pretty unique feature that allows you to just swipe here to unlock your device or launch applications. In reality, it's a bit clunky to use. It's just below the camera. Sometimes you swipe it, sometimes you swipe the camera, and it's just not very user friendly, not very intuitive. Now, speaking of the front-facing part of the device, you have dual stereo speakers on front and the front-facing camera. For navigation, you have just two capacitive keys and the HTC logo right here on the front. Buttons are conveniently located and easy to reach on the right-hand side. Lock button and volume rocker, nice and clicky. On the back, you have a 4-megapixel that HTC called Ultra Pixel, 4-megapixel camera with a single LED flash, a 2.5mm headset jack, and a USB micro USB charging and syncing port. Now, speaking of the LG G2, it stands out with its pretty unique design. It has its volume rocker and lock key right here on the back of the device. They're pretty convenient to reach. Our finger just resides there. We find this a nice addition, nice experiment that has worked out well. It's not inconvenient in any way. But apart from that, the LG G2 is obviously a plastic device, a glossy plastic, nothing so premium about it. It's a bit squeaky, not very solidly built, in contrast with the HTC One Max that feels very solid. On the front here, front-facing camera, earpiece, and it has on-screen controls, navigational controls for Android. Buttons, as we said, no buttons on the side. Here's a micro SIM card slot, and all buttons, all physical buttons on the back. And here we have a 13-megapixel optical image stabilized camera, one of the best cameras out there, but we'll speak about this in a moment. A single LED flash and speaker and microphone on the back, as well as a micro USB charge and sync port. Screen quality. The HTC One Max has a huge 5.9-inch display. The LG G2 has a fairly big as well, 5.2-inch screen. Both are LCD displays, but there is a huge difference in the actual look, actual colors, and the actual performance of the two. Now, first, the HTC One Max has very realistic, nice, pleasant tones. It's a pleasure to look at generally, good viewing angles, but not amazing, but good viewing angles. Whereas the LG G2 features a bit unrealistic, a bit colder tones than we'd like. Still, it's very vibrant, very vivid display, but just colors are a bit off on it. So we definitely prefer the HTC One Max in this regard. Now, both are 1080p displays. That means they are sharp, very sharp. The 5.9-inch screen of the HTC One Max actually stretches the pixels, so it's not as sharp as the LG G2, but in reality, you probably won't even notice the difference. And here we have a 5.2-inch display, once again 5.9 on the One Max. Both HTC and LG use custom skins on top of Android. In HTC's case, here in the HTC One Max, this is the first handset to ship with HTC Sense 5.5, and let's quickly take a look to prove this. Here's software information, Android 4.3 Jelly Bean with Sense 5.5 on top. Now, Sense 5.5 is a clean, modern interface with flat icons, and generally it feels very snappy and is convenient to use. One key difference between earlier Sense interfaces and this one here is that you no longer have blink feed forced on you on the leftmost home panel. You can disable it, and that's what we've done, but you can also enable it. And blink feed, for those of you who don't know, is a news aggregator, news and social updates aggregator. So this is HTC's Sense skin, and here with the LG we have its Optimus UI on top of Android, and it's a bit cartoonish, much more colorful than what we're used to on the HTC One Max, but it has its appeal. Personally, to us, it looks a bit childish, but it has those nice animations that you can customize it by selecting different themes. So it's not a bad UI in any way. It's just a bit too cartoonish, too colorful. But if that's your kind of thing, it's just a matter of personal preference. Now, basic functionality is well covered in both skins. For making calls, you have this dialer application that in the LG G2's case, you can actually offset it to one side, so it's easier to type with a single hand. Unfortunately, the HTC One Max does not have this functionality despite its large size, and that's a bit puzzling. Both apps are fairly good. You can swipe between tabs, very convenient. Now, in terms of the actual messaging experience, let's just fire this up once again. The apps are pretty basic, pretty straightforward. The actual difference is in the actual typing experience. And on the HTC One Max, you have this wide, very convenient keyboard with large keys, but it has one downside. It's such a large screen size. HTC could have included a separate row for the numbers, and it's missing. We would have liked to see it here. And we would also have liked to see something that goes a bit to the side so you can easily type just single-handedly, and that's something that's missing. Performance-wise, we were puzzled to see that the HTC One Max was released with the Snapdragon 600, a chip that was top-notch when the HTC One launched, and right now we have the latest and most powerful Snapdragon 800 that the LG G2 runs on, and unfortunately the HTC One Max does not have it. Still, it's a premium device, it features the full price, just a little bit older chip. In reality though, there is no perceivable difference in the actual performance of the two devices, so both are very snappy, very quick. No huge difference, so you won't even notice you're using a bit of an older processor. Both feature 2 GB of RAM, and that's about it. Now let's demonstrate the performance right here in the app drawer and on the HTC One Max. As you can see, buttery smooth on both devices. In terms of internal storage, both devices have a 16 GB and 32 GB versions. And the LG G2 does not support expandable storage, so it's stuck at 16 gigs if you have this version, or 32 gigs. And of all this, around 12 gigabytes are available for the end user. We've installed some additional apps, but it's 12 gigabytes for the end user, and around the same for the HTC One Max right here. But the HTC One Max also supports expandable storage via micro SD card slot, so that's a nice feature to have. Now, in terms of connectivity, these are both 4G LTE enabled devices. They also support Wi-Fi as well, and they come with two browsers pre-installed. The HTC One Max features HTC's own browser and Mobile Chrome, and here we have Mobile Chrome running on the LG G2, and we'll just show you the difference in loading speeds. We're connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Actually, just let us enable this in right here on the LG G2, and we'll try to open up our website phonearena.com and try to see how long it takes on both devices. Snapdragon 600 One Max here versus Snapdragon 800 LG G2. 1, 2, 3, go. And the LG G2 loaded first. You can definitely see a bit of an advantage, but not such a huge advantage of the Snapdragon 800 chip right here. In terms of zooming in and actual scrolling speeds, you see it's all buttery smooth on both devices. And I would say that the HTC One Max feels a bit more instantaneous when it comes to scrolling performance. Now, in terms of other connectivity options, you have, of course, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and GPS, which come pretty much standard. Now, for media playback, those of you who like to watch movies, watch video clips, play music on their devices, we feel that the HTC One Max is the better overall device because of its larger screen, its more accurate display, and its just amazing front stereo speakers that are loud and clear. You can hear the difference. We play just two different songs, but still you can sense the loudness and clearness of the HTC One Max here. And let's go. And LG G2. We can definitely see that the LG G2 sounds a little bit thinner, lacks that depth and clarity of sound that the HTC One Max has. So this will definitely make a difference when you play a lot of media or music or just movies as well. Now, when it comes to call quality, we like the LG G2 a bit better, but both are very, very good devices. Now, the LG G2 earpiece sounds very clear, and our callers also reported hearing our voice in its natural tonality, something that's not exactly like that on the HTC One Max, which has a even louder earpiece than the LG G2, but its mic sounds just a slightly bit muffled, slightly bit distorted, but otherwise it's a fairly good handset. The LG G2 just a little bit better. In terms of battery life, we have good news. These two are some of the longest lasting devices on the market right now. 3300 mAh battery powers the HTC One Max, and it could easily last you 2 or 3 days, and almost the same can be said about the LG G2. Amazing battery performance, 3000 mAh battery here, 3300 mAh here. So in reality, expect even with heavier use, these will easily last you a day and last into the second. Average use 2 to 3 days, and modest use maybe 3 days. Now, the HTC One Max features a 4 megapixel camera, something that HTC calls ultra pixel. It has wider, larger pixels if you like, and it's pretty quick. The camera app is pretty quick to start and snap images as well. So we'll just quickly demonstrate this and point this towards the LG G2. And the app itself is rich in options, supports settings like the Zoe, which captures a short video, filters like these. You can add effects to your shots. You also have night HDR, sweep panorama, dual capture, and anti-shake mode. Of course, finer settings like ISO and white balance are also here as well. Have 2 separate buttons for image stills and video capture, and we find this pretty convenient. However, the actual image quality is what disappoints a bit on the HTC One Max. The images lack detail and they're a bit underexposed in most cases. The LG G2 on the other hand has one of the best cameras out there, 13 megapixel shooter with optical image stabilization. And here's how the camera app on the LG G2 looks like. Now, we definitely like this application. It has large buttons, easy to press. Everything is within easy reach. You don't have to dig deeper into menus to find settings, and you have modes for newbie photographers or just experts as well that want to shoot quickly into a different scene mode. And finer settings are also available here in the application. You can adjust white balance, ISO, all things like that. And in order to switch to video, just have this slider right here that you can use to select between image stills and video. And let's capture an image and see how quick the LG G2 camera is. So firing up the app, and image still is fairly quick. Now, the actual image quality, once again, very good, very clear, lots of detail and nice colors. We like the LG G2 cameras much better than the one on the HTC One Max. And it's decision time. Which one should you choose? The HTC One Max or the LG G2? Which one is the better value for the money? Which one brings the better performance? We've already looked at all those things in detail, and we have to say that the LG G2 feels like the more balanced handset. It's a bit cheaper device, and it features an amazing 13 megapixel optical image stabilized camera. Performance is also top notch on both devices, so we would call this a draw, but the camera really blows the One Max out of the water. LG has done a great job here with the camera. Screen quality is good on both, but better, more accurate on the HTC One Max. And if you're wondering about the fingerprint scanner on the back, it feels more like a gimmick, so that shouldn't really affect your decision. So our choice here goes for the LG G2 as the more well-balanced handset with a more affordable price and more features. And for more details, make sure to go to phonearena.com. Thanks for watching.